Oh, there I am. Okay, everybody, how you doing? It's me, Truth Teacher. I know it's been a long time no see. Just coming with a quick live stream to let you know I'm still alive. I've just been extremely busy, so I don't expect to have a lot of people here. Hey, what up, Marquise? I don't expect a lot of people to be here today, but we'll see. At any cost, I'm not planning to be here longer than an hour. Hey, Tino, what's up? But I did want to discuss the situation with, the overturn of Roe v. Wade and what I think about it. So I will drop the link in the comments. If anyone wants to join, you are welcome. Hey, Morena, what's up? Yeah, I'm like coming out of hibernation for a little while. Um, I've been very busy, from the past, well, ever since I dropped off the face of the earth. But I do want to talk about this situation. So if anyone wants to join in, there's a link, you can jump in. So, I remember, well, I was very, very young when, Roe v. Wade happened to begin with, when it was passed. And personally, the way I feel about it is I don't feel very comfortable with the whole issue of abortion. It's, from my spiritual perspective, it's not something that we encourage. But at the same time, though, I feel like it is needed in certain situations, I really feel, I don't feel comfortable with late term abortions. Um, to me, if you can do it as early as possible, that's the best. But I think there are certain circumstances where a woman does need to have the option of, giving birth or not. For one thing, let's just be honest. A lot of people are not emotionally equipped to bring a child into the world. And I know that a lot of people will say, well, you can always put it up for adoption, but we've all heard like real horror stories on what it's like for kids who were adopted. I mean, there are a lot of good stories where people were lucky enough to find adoptive homes where they were treated very well, and it gave them options in life that they ordinarily would not have been able to have. But then there's the flip side, and I know people personally who, for whatever reason, went through the adoption process, and a lot of them ended up with people who were just really had no business being around kids. And they ended up really emotionally and psychologically scarred because of that. Um, why not teach? How do we do this thing? Here I go again. Why not teach responsibility? Well, Marquise, you definitely do have a valid point there. And I definitely agree. Hey, only Jay, what up? How you doing? I definitely agree that we do need to teach responsibility. Personally, I think that the society that we're in right now is just a little bit too free when it comes to sexuality, and I think we're just being extremely sexually explicit, and I think that it's irresponsible because, hey, Viva, what's up? I think it's irresponsible the way we treat sexuality in general in our society today. I mean, you can't even have a party for kids and play music because all of the music is filled with sexually explicit lyrics, you know? The kind of things that we used to have a place and time, things about life that we used to have a place and time to explain to our kids what sexuality was all about. I feel like we've that right has been taken away from us because it's being shoved down everybody's throat everywhere you look. It's in the media, it's in the movies, it's in the music. It's like you can't escape sexually explicit information everywhere you go. And there are consequences for that. And consequences are in people's behavior. So I remember like growing up before I even hit, well, my first year of high school. I stopped counting like at 30, all of my friends, like female friends who had gotten pregnant before high school. Hey, Jose, what's up? Speaking of Jose, everybody, it's the guy that like motivated me to make this live stream today. So Jose, the link is down there. If you want to, jump in and share your perspectives. Did I put the link? Yes, I did. Okay, now how do I pin this thing? Put user in timeout. No, I don't want to do that. I want to pin my comment. Okay, well, crap. Here, I'll put it again. I haven't done this thing in quite a while, so I forget how to pin the link. How do I do this? How do I do this? Let's see. It is infallible Catholic dogma that babies are conceived in original sin and must be. Okay, well, that's a religious perspective and you're welcome to it, but not everybody is Catholic. But I think what we all do have in common is the idea that life should be preserved. But like I said, I think there are situations where we need to have a little bit more leeway on that. Like I said, I don't feel comfortable with late term abortions. I mean, when the child, the fetus is already fully formed and it's a lie. I mean, that's I do feel some kind of way about that. I can't lie. I think if something is going to be done, if you're going to make that decision, and I don't think women that I know who've done it, they didn't make that decision very lightly. But I think there needs to be more responsibility and a lot more wisdom if you're going to go that route. So I got Jose in the background here, and I'm going to add him in.
Hello, true teacher. It's a pleasure to see you again.
Likewise. You didn't give your usual greeting. Well, it's not evening, it's good afternoon. So you got to come up for the morning and the afternoon and the evening.
Okay. Now, I just got your stream. I know with some people that they're going to disagree what I'm going to say, but what I would think before you reach judgment, I mean, at least hear me out completely.
Well, I mean, this is why I opened it up to discussion so that we can talk. I think we do need to talk about it.
Okay. One thing that gets lost in all this is that there are over 30 different types of birth control, which both male and female can use in order to prevent unwanted pregnancy. Now, what gets to be an issue is when there is an issue of sexual assault, or where where the woman's life is in danger. Also, the original in Roe v. Wade, abortions were permissible with no limitations in the first trimester. Abortions were permissible in the second trimester, but with certain limitations. And as far as the third trimester, without any mitigating circumstances, it was not permissible at all.
Okay.
So, okay, now I happen to be pro-life.
Mhm.
Okay, but one thing that makes me a little bit unique regarding the rest of the people that are pro-life, I don't believe that philosophy ends when the child is born.
There you
Okay.
go. I'm glad you said that.
Okay, believe me, I'm very critical with my pro-life people regarding that issue.
Mhm.
So, I mean, and the way I look at it, if we're going to compel a 13-year-old or 14-year-old girl to carry the child to term, we better be prepared to help that child in every way possible. And if we really want to be completely pro-life also means making sure that affordable health care is available to all. It
Yeah.
also means making sure that people are protected, such things as gun violence or things of that nature. Unfortunately, once the child is born, that's when the philosophy ends.
Yeah. I mean, like this is the problem that I have with a lot of these right to life people is that to me they're incredibly short-sighted. It's like if you're going to be pro-life, then that means pro-life, right? It's like life doesn't stop after that baby is born.
Yeah.
So what I want to know is for all these people that were fighting to overturn Roe v. Wade, are you also fighting to have the resources and programs available in place to help those children who were born, in less than ideal circumstances? I mean, for me, like when it's an issue where you're talking about something like incest or rape, um, I can't imagine what that must be like for a woman psychologically to have to carry that child to term. And, you know, in an ideal world, you would say that every woman, every mother loves their child. But in the real world, especially a young girl, like how is she psychologically able to reconcile that kind of event? And here is this person that every time you see them, it's a reminder of that traumatic event. So, what are you going to do? What are you going to do about that? I mean, like, a lot of people are just not going to be emotionally mature
Mhm.
and strong enough to raise that child in a positive manner. It's like we all heard horror stories of people in the back in the day who grew up in a family where like their parent just obviously hated them, and they just never knew why until later on it comes out that, well, the reason why was because you know that child was a product of rape or incest or something like that.
Mhm.
So I think that they should have made, provisions for situations like that. And okay, so you say you're going to put the child up for adoption, but is there any guarantee that that child will be adopted into a stable home, into a stable family? And you know what I'm saying?
I'll do one even better. And this is something, and I'm going to say to my fellow pro-life brethren, if you're really all that concerned about life and beginning conception, how about adopting some of these children?
Well,
I
yeah.
mean, I mean, and I know my fellow pro-life people are going to be hating me for saying it, but let's keep it 100.
Well, absolutely. I mean, that's the thing is like we're not even doing so great with the system as we have it right now. But I don't know. It's hard. I really I've always wondered about this. It's like, and a lot of these people that are supposedly pro-life, these are the same people when that child grows up and they're all emotionally screwed up and they get involved in crimes and all of this stuff. These are the same people that want them, that want capital punishment.
And that's another thing that makes me unique because I'm against the death penalty as well.
Yeah.
So I'm
yeah. So it's crazy. It's like don't kill him now, kill him later. you know.
Believe me, it doesn't make any sense, and that's the issue, and that's another issue I have with some of my pro-life brethren. Okay, and again, there's a thing called individual responsibility. There are over, and I hate to sound like a broken record, but there are over 30 different types of birth control that could be used to prevent an unwanted pregnancy. Okay, I mean, if some of these individuals who engage in risky adult activity without any protection, if they use protection properly, there wouldn't be such a huge need for abortion to begin with. Unfortunately, for some people, it is their first choice.
Okay, Marquise says here, those account for less than 1% of all abortions. Medical is another 2%, but 97% of women who get it done is for financial reasons. 60% do it more than once. Well, I don't have statistics to back that up, but yeah, I have seen a lot of women, or certain women, I should say, who definitely did get abortions because they weren't able to financially take care of a child. And that goes back to what we were saying earlier, is that what resources are going to be put in place now? So since you're going to have all these children that are being born, what resource are they even thinking about having resources put in place so that those children can have access to education, medical care, housing? The problem that I think that we have in this country is we're continually dropping the ball and we're extremely short-sighted. It's like we never follow through, completely follow through with these decisions that we make. We don't think about what are the long-term implications of these things. It's like everything is just immediate gratification. Let's just do this. Let's just do this, without coming up with a plan on, okay, how is this going to play out in the long term over time?
And this has been a topic that I have discussed at least twice on my platform, and also Denise discussed this matter as well as Latin explaining. So I would suggest if anyone who wish to get any more information regarding the topic, they can check either my contact or you can check Latin explaining, because both on both our platforms, we have discussed this to a certain extent. Again, it goes back to individual responsibility. I'm not talking about those who are victims of sexual assault or what have you. It's, if you decide to engage in adult sexual activity without any protection, you risk not only the unwanted pregnancy, but sexual diseases as well.
Yeah. Give me 1 second here.
Mhm.
I mean, like, all of those things are true. I think, like I was saying before, we definitely need to address the issue of responsibility. I mean, like, look, when I was younger, I did dumb stuff myself.
Well did.
Occasions, you know,
Well,
I'm lucky I didn't get anybody pregnant. I could have, like, thinking back, I took some risks, but luckily I didn't end up in that situation. And once I found out, like back in my day, like condoms were 3 for $1, like I was good to go.
yeah.
But you do have a lot of. I mean, I've seen, like, for example, like homeless women pregnant, and you have to ask yourself, like, how do like, what are
True
you
teacher.
wonder, you
True
wonder,
teacher. In a couple of months, I'm going to be 60 years old.
yeah,
So I've seen a lot of stupid people make stupid decisions and gain stupid prizes and what have you.
yeah,
Now, I've been fortunate because I have not gotten anyone pregnant. So therefore, I never had to deal with any baby mama drama. So at least I've been responsible when it comes to things of that nature. And and again, not to beat a dead horse. Um, if you're going to engage in adult activity, do everything possible to make sure that you don't um, have an unwanted pregnancy. I remember my mother, God rest her soul, she used to tell my nephews, if you're going to be with the ladies, please make sure to have your party hats with you, if you know what I mean.
mhm, yeah. I mean, I have a relative who had a child out of wedlock.
Hmm.
But one thing I can say is they took responsibility for what they did, because unfortunately, this person that they got pregnant was a real fucking train wreck.
Hmm.
And this was a woman who went out of her way to deliberately get pregnant by different men so that she could, extort money out of them. Once my relative found out that that was indeed his child, he sued for custody. And it's a good thing that he did, because I tell you, like, that child, I guarantee, if that child had stayed with the mother, it probably wouldn't be alive today.
Hmm.
So for some people, I think the best thing to do would be to have an abortion, because within the limits that they do it early enough, because like I said, like once you get to the second and third trimesters,
Hmm.
that's a little, that to me, that's a little dodgy. But I think the next step, since you overturned this thing, the next step is to create safety nets for the children who are going to be born out of wedlock. I mean, unfortunately, people aren't going to wake up overnight and say, you know what, I got to be responsible now. I got to do the right thing. And even though in New York and New Jersey, like Roe v. Wade hasn't really affected the access to abortion, we do know that within our communities, um, abortion is not really the norm, you know? Even
Mhm.
if people end up, with an unwanted pregnancy, the majority of them will have the child. And you see some people that, like, okay, you made a mistake once, but then you go out and you make the same mistake 2 times, 3 times. They're just like serial abusers. So I don't disbelieve that there have been women out there who unfortunately abuse the access to abortion as some sort of birth control, which it really was not intended to be used in that way.
Mhm.
But like you said, there are a lot of options out there, so people need to be responsible. I mean, there's the day after, they have that thing, like the day after pill or whatever, to make sure that the lady doesn't become pregnant, you know.
Mhm. Yeah.
Uh, but the one thing that I think disturbs me the most about this is that this was a constitutional amendment that was overturned. And that's the thing that I feel that makes me feel nervous, because I'm wondering, is this going to set a precedent for other constitutional rights to be repealed? You know?
To be perfectly honest, I also see I addressed these issues when I did my first stream regarding Roe v. Wade. You know, what some things might occur. The only solution is we're going to need to get involved in the political process. Meaning, whenever we see anyone that's running for political office,
Mhm.
particularly if we're talking about, say, in the House or in the Senate, what we need to do is we're going to need to fully vet these people to the best of our ability. Meaning, we need to study what it is they are proposing, and if we have an opportunity to question these individuals and hold them accountable, because unfortunately, we place too much emphasis on the presidential elections.
Yeah.
But yet the other elections, like as far as the Senate, the House, the Assembly, the Senate, representatives in the City Council, I mean, these elections have more direct consequences to us.
Yeah.
When everything is said and done, the president, all he can do is use his bully pulpit to try to encourage the House and the Senate to go along with his goals. And we already seen this so far, how dysfunctional it is in the Senate and dysfunctional in the House.
Yeah. But I just really worry, especially now in the way people are so divided, the country is so divided. What's going to be next? Are you going to repeal the right to have interracial marriages? Are you going to start, repealing civil rights, gains? Like, how far is this going to go? I mean, if we were still in the stage where this wasn't a constitutional act, I mean, yeah, I would still have reservations about it, but the fact that, I don't know, has there ever been a history where a constitutional right has been repealed?
There have been other decisions that have been overturned. I mean, if you take a look, another example is the Dred Scott case, where where a person that was a runaway slave, and even they went to a state that was anti-slavery, they had to return to their owners. I mean, it's not the first time that the Supreme Court had made decisions where it was not well received either way. Um, and again, we all need to be with involved with politics. We cannot just say do nothing and then blame the politicians if we did not do our due diligence and vet these people to the best of their ability.
Yeah.
And again, when it comes to Roe v. Wade, again, originally abortions were permissible with no restrictions in the first trimester, with restrictions in the second trimester, and with very huge amount of restrictions in the third trimester. Unfortunately, the people who are for reproductive rights overplayed their hand, and they tried to have abortions possible even as late as the 9th month.
Whoa, okay. That's, yeah, no.
Okay.
No. I mean, Jesus Christ, man, come on, are you serious? Like,
that's what I mean to teacher. Unfortunately, certain people, they overplayed their hands. And what happened is the swings in history when people tend to be liberal and then conservative. I mean, and really the conservative movement really gets started in the 80s with particularly with the evangelical movement.
yeah.
So I think if they just simply left it alone with the original decision as is, there would not be such a clamor to have it overturned. I mean, there would have been a clamor, but not to this extent. When you allow abortions up to the 9th month, that's very extreme.
I mean, I can see in the case where I don't know. I can see in the case where it's an issue of you got to choose between the mother's life or the child's life. Like you have to make a decision because the medical complications are so high. I don't know, but that's a really tough situation to be in, you know?
I know someone that was in a situation of a high risk pregnancy, um, approaching 40.
Mm-hmm.
That was my mother.
Yeah.
And she was okay. And she was encouraged to have an abortion. This was back in 1973 when Roe v. Wade came into effect. My mother made the choice to carry the child to term. And so, fortunately, there was no complications involved.
Mm-hmm.
But another thing, and this is something that I really have an issue with those of my pro-life brethren, is that we can be extremely judgmental for women who had abortions. I mean, we don't know what was the thought process involved. So it's very easy to play the accusing angel and what have you. But until we're actually experiencing the circumstances, we don't know.
Well, now here's another thing, like that I thought about. What if it's a case where you know beforehand, right, that this is going to be a child that has profound deformities and handicaps to the point where they won't be able to have a meaningful life? You know, what do you do in a situation like that?
Um, that's something that each individual will have to face between themselves and whoever they pray to
Yeah,
and their own personal conscience. Um, you know, so again, it's very easy for us to pass judgment for anyone who had an abortion, particularly under those circumstances. And unfortunately, some of our pro-life brethren are extremely judgmental.
yeah. I mean, like I have an acquaintance who had a baby that was profoundly disfigured. I mean, like to the point where like it didn't look human. It's like
Mhm.
the brain was outside of the cavity, and I think it lived for like about a week, and then it died. But like things like that, where that's a hard call because you got to think. I mean, like, are are the parents going to be equipped to handle a situation like that? Are they going to be okay? So you want everybody to have a kid, okay? When you have a situation like that, are there going
Mhm.
to be funds available for the extensive amount of medical care that they're going to need, or you're going to have like access to like nursing care or whatever to help with that child, because you know those parents are still going to have to get up and go to work, or you're going to compensate families like that to the point where like one person can stay home and take care of the child, or you know what I'm saying. So I just have a real problem with these draconian strict things where it's just an absolute and you don't take mitigating circumstances into consideration.
Mhm. Yeah, I can see that point. Um, and I just want, and I just want, one thing that's understood that even some pro-lifers do agree to for abortions in the case where there's, where the mother was assaulted or she's in danger of life. So, and again, we'd love to talk about birth weekends and conception, but how many of us are fully prepared to embrace pro-life to its fullest?
Yeah.
And I see MK it's in the picture. How you doing, MK?
Hey, MK, what's up? Let me drop the link again if you want to jump in and share your thoughts with us. You'd be more than welcome.
If you will permit me a commercial break to plug my channel,
Go ahead.
I just want to let everybody know, if you have not done so, please consider subscribing to Uncommon Sense with Jose Negron. I do provide interesting topics, and everyone is welcome to enter their comments and join the panel. The only thing I ask is, please do not try to overtalk me and the panelists. Please don't try to disrespect me or the panelists, because you will be immediately booted. And actually, one person found out about it the hard way a week ago, where an individual try to disrupt the platform. Uh, Calling me a racist, uh, calling another person a fake negrita from the Bronx. And it's like, no. On my platform, we have mature adult conversation. And I'm happy to say that I've gained, since the beginning of May, 33 subs.
Well, you've been putting in the work. You've been putting in a lot more work than I've been doing, God knows.
And please forgive the shameless plug. But
No problem, no problem. But yeah, I mean, that's where I stand on this. I'm just really worried about what the long-term consequences are going to be. You know, um, like for example, I see countries, right? Like Brazil, for example, and I think it's like in Rio de Janeiro.
mhm,
There's like 2 million kids that are just like living on the street
incredible.
because they have no parents. And I
Yeah.
think Brazil is one of those places where they have no access to abortion at all. And
Mhm.
I don't know, for people who are living in the lowest economic levels, I don't know, do they even have access to the quality and the amount of birth control that we do here, in the United States?
Mhm.
But like, man, you think about like 2 million kids on the street. I mean, like 2 million kids is like the population of Jamaica. So in one city, you've got practically a nation that is living on the streets, and the subsequent crime. I mean, man, like you can go on YouTube and look up videos. You can see people getting robbed in broad daylight in
Mhm.
downtown in Rio. I mean, like they just brazen. And like the fact of the matter is that they're in a desperate situation. I mean, it's a nuisance to have to put up with that. But I mean, these kids are living on the street. It's like they're struggling day to day to be able to feed themselves.
Yeah.
So I think all of these things have to be taken into consideration when you talk about, yeah, right to life, right to life. But what about the quality of life? See, to me, it's not just about life, it's about the quality of life. And I'm sorry, like for me personally, if I had a choice and I knew that I couldn't be of any real use to society, I wouldn't want to be here. I
Mhm.
wouldn't want to be here to just why? Just be here taking up space. And so I think I mean, I've known women who've had abortions, and they didn't make that decision lightly. That was not a decision that they made lightly, and it wasn't something that they would want to repeat.
Mhm.
You
Yeah.
know?
And to be perfectly honest, there's also risk to have abortions. I mean, as
Yeah,
far as the risk for premature births, and there's also other factors like if the abortion is the procedure is not done properly, it could render a woman sterile.
yeah. Well, now you see, that's another problem is that you take away the option of having this procedure done in the optimal medical setting. You're going to have people that are going to start resorting to all kinds of backwoods, shady situations. So you're going to see an uptick in women who are going to lose their lives because they're going to go to some kind of shady character to get the situation done. And man, it's a difficult situation.
Yeah.
I mean,
It is.
there's no easy solution to this, but I think if anything, they should have kept it in place, but maybe tightened some of the restrictions. You know?
Um, but there's a certain amount of hypocrisy that exists among the Democrats. I mean, the Democrats had 49 years to codify reproductive rights. For whatever reason, they wait until 2022 to try to have it codified. I have a huge issue with that. I mean, when you think about it, a lot of the politicians, they're not really concerned about our issues. They just want to say or promise anything so they can continue to get reelected and get all the perks of being a member of the House or the Senate without actually producing any results.
Yeah. Well, that's pretty much the way I feel about it. Also, it's like I'm not a Democrat, I'm not Republican, because as far as I'm concerned, like they're all self-serving. It's just that they go about it in different. They just have different strategies or different perspectives of how to go about it.
Mhm.
But at the end of the day, I mean, when we look at how like the virus crisis was handled, where my cousin in Australia was getting a check to stay home, every 2 weeks so that the basics like food and rent could be taken care of. And we squeezed out like what? It took us a whole year to squeeze out another check. And they deliberately held it up because they wanted to wait for Trump to be out of office so that he couldn't take credit for it. I mean, like, how freaking out of touch are you with the needs of the country that you could do that? And I mean, like, other things that they could have done, like, we're still dealing with the fallout of the lockdown. And
Mhm.
there's still people who are all across the country are at risk of being evicted. They did freeze rent increases, but now that was terminated, and rents are soaring through the roof all across this country. Like, why couldn't they have made permanent provisions to, first of all, I think they should have also put things in place to protect landlords, because at the end of the day, they've got, bills to pay also. So they should have come up with something that was very comprehensive that protected everyone so that we don't have a situation now where we've got tons of people whose businesses, who've lost their jobs and their businesses went under. And now they're struggling because they can't find employment and they're really in a situation where they could be evicted.
I'm going to tell you why, true teacher. What happened is, unfortunately, you had too many politicians. They've been bought by huge companies. When you think about all the COVID relief that was funded, most of it went to corporations. Maybe a third of that relief, if that, went to individuals. And another thing that I find it amazing is that uh, you had people that got extended uh, uh, extra unemployment benefits during this health crisis. So therefore, all this extra money, they should have been, they should have had their bills up to date. Some of them they wasted that money on frivolous things because some people their priorities are out of whack.
Well, yeah. And that's the problem when you have people that go and abuse the system, because then it screws us up for all the people who have legitimate needs.
Believe me, I know that because I was dealing with a special project where you have people on public assistance and they receive thousands of dollars of unemployment and the income was never declared. So they were double dipping, so to speak.
Hmm. Yeah.
But that's another topic. And of course, people have issues with. I mean, issues with me, whatever. I mean, there's some word going on in the internet that I'm a racist and I'm white.
Oh, they found you out.
But okay, but you know what it is? There's a certain amount of jealousy because even though my channel is microscopic, I mean, right now I have 95 subs. The
Mhm.
fact of the matter is, there's been growth, and 90% of my audience are from ages 18 to 34. So I'm reaching millennials and Gen Z people, and it's like actually reaching out to these people. And basically, it's my channel is not geared to a particular group. I'm just simply stating the fact, and then I let all people interpret the facts as they see fit.
Yeah. Well, we got MK in the back here. Let me let him in. Hopefully, this really is him. Otherwise,
Okay. Well, if it's the usual Spider-Man um avatar, I think he is.
okay. Let's see. Hey, MK. Hope that's really you.
Yep, yep.
Hey, MK.
Hey, MK, what's
I
up?
used that picture because I couldn't upload my other one for some reason. But
Okay.
nothing much. And you guys?
Well, we're discussing the situation here and concerns and implications of what this could mean for people's lives. I mean, like here we're in New York, and I think you're in California, right?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I mean, like women in those states, there's a few states where it really doesn't affect the people, but there's, I think, the majority of the country, it's an issue. So I guess the next step for people in those states is they're going to have to start working really hard with the local governments in their states, to protect their rights. If you know,
Yeah. I mean, can y'all hear me?
yeah, yeah,
Yes.
you're fine.
I'm at work, so but nobody here, so it's like. But I don't know. I've always been kind of like with this whole situation. I've never really been interested in it because I always feel like a woman should have choice over her own body.
Hmm.
But at the same time, I'm kind of because so I'm like I'm pro-choice, but my definition of pro-choice is if you're going to make the decision, you got to live with the consequence. Not just because you should, if you have a baby, you should. I honestly am confused about why this is even an issue. Not because it's not a big issue, but because we have so many contraceptives here in the United States, and the fact that like everybody's making a big uproar about it, especially like some of the women I have to ask, I'm like, don't you have several ways, even men, because it's not just women, but even men with their whole spermicide condoms and stuff like that. I'm like, don't we have several different ways
Yeah, but them shits
to
burn
prevent?
though.
Yeah, but we
I'm
have like
allergic to
several
those things.
different ways to prevent that. So a lot of you guys are saying, well, you know, I don't want an unwanted pregnancy, but we have several different ways to prevent it besides going doing abortion. So it almost seems like it's kind of a weird thing to be like to fight for something when you have several other things that can prevent it just as much as the one that you're fighting for can.
Yeah, but something, the unfortunate reality is that common sense is not that common.
Which is why my channel is called Uncommon Sense.
Exactly. I mean, there's a lot of guys out there that they don't want to, they don't want to take care of whatever they got to take care of. And, unfortunately, it sounds like a really shitty thing to say, but at the end of the day, the responsibility lies with the woman. I mean, like, okay, you can say the guy should do this and that, but if you got a house, at the end of the day, it stops with you to determine who gets to come inside your house or not, unless it's a situation where you're forced.
Mm-hmm. And that's where I think like a lot of confusion. I'm not, like I said, if you're a woman, I think just like I have full autonomy over mine, you should have full autonomy over yours. But
Yeah,
the thing is, like, what frustrates me sometimes is we want equality and we want all this stuff, but we can't take the responsibility. You don't have to have an abortion to not have a kid. You could literally take several different other things. So are if you want to not have a baby, wouldn't it make sense to use the other? Like, it just doesn't make. It's confusing. It's like, oh, don't the other thing do the same thing too? Why would you wait to actually have a baby to go ahead and just do it? Why wouldn't you take the preventive measure? And then people will be like, well, it's the man. I get that. Men should wrap up too, because I'm sick of seeing guys always acting surprised when they go in raw and end up getting somebody pregnant. But the women cannot act surprised either. Both parties be acting like it just came out of space.
I think that we need to have a cultural reset in the way we approach sexuality, because now it's just like a fucking runaway train. It's like things are just too fucking loosey goosey and crazy out there, and it's like whatever. Like we just do it and then think about the consequences later. And in a situation where you could potentially bring a new life into this world, I don't think that's a luxury that you have. I mean, I definitely know several women that, good God, they should not have had kids.
But I'm sorry, but what's the crazy part is I'm active with my union and I've been hearing this discussion regarding Roe v. Wade at nausea. And I'm going to be in Philadelphia attending a convention, which means I'm going to be hearing this nonstop 24/7. And it's like, okay, people, there are over 30 different devices that you can use, both male and female, um, to prevent an unwanted pregnancy and to prevent the being exposed to sexually transmitted diseases. But somehow this doesn't get discussed. And if you happen actually to mention that, and people want you to have crucified. And I actually had a discussion with someone who's pro-life, and that person actually suggested that I wear a pro-life T-shirt to the convention. It's like, excuse me, do you want me to be crucified? I mean, where's the love involved?
Yeah, I mean, like that's. I mean, certain things, there's a time and place for certain things. You don't have to be putting out all of that all the time everywhere. But
Yeah,
Yeah.
it just doesn't make any sense, man. I feel like my dad, when I talked to him, I think it was last week or the week before, he was like, the way that America's going, it reminds him of that movie Idiocracy.
yeah,
He was like, it feels like, he's like, we gotta put labels, simple labels on things. He's like, because people don't have common sense anymore. Everybody just doing stuff, and I had a friend who got pregnant. She was like, "Oh, I got pregnant." I was like, "So did it magically happen? Did a stork come and leave it on your doorstep?" And she, "Oh no, but it's just hard because the dad doesn't want to do anything. I said, then again, you put yourself in that predicament. And she wanted me to feel bad, but I'm like, I'm pro responsibility.
The
I
crazy,
was
the
My
crazy
dad taught
part,
me if I make a kid, then I have to take care of it. He said he's like, let's be honest. He's like, I didn't have to stay and take care of you if I didn't want to. But he was like, that was my responsibility. Just like his dad took care of him, my dad took care of me. And now if I have a kid, I have to take care of mine. But if I'm not, I don't I don't get it.
I don't get it when you have the situation where you got a woman and she don't even know who the freaking child, father of her child is.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's just right. I mean, I know people who are in that situation right now where they're like grown, like in their 50s, and their mother to this day won't tell them who their father is. Like that is nuts. Unfortunately, like we can all say that. And, it's true. You should have self control. You should have common sense. You should have responsibility and all of that. But the fact of the matter is that human beings are fucking messy as shit and complicated. And even in a case, I mean, like, I think back some of the situations that I've been in, and I just took it for granted because, the girl told me that she was using protection. And I just took it for granted. And I stepped back and I'm like, I mean, I remember one situation in particular. And she was right. She did have protection. The protection was that she was already pregnant by somebody else. but, but I'm
Oh.
thinking, like, if that hadn't been the case, I just put myself in a very precarious situation. And I was just taking, just going off of somebody else's word, that they were telling me the truth. Because you do have women out here who deliberately go after men to get pregnant. So at the end of the day, yes, women definitely need to be very proactive when it comes to protecting themselves, but us as men as well. Look, my thing is experiment and find the best condoms that you can that got the best feel and the best fit.
Yeah.
You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? Because even if
Mm-hmm.
she says she's, got protection, like, look, that is not, it's not necessarily true. And even when she is using protection, it's not 100% foolproof. And I'm the proof of that. I mean, thank God my mother and my father were married when they had me, but my mother was on birth control actually, and I still popped up. So that goes to show you that even if a woman is on birth control, it's not 100% foolproof. So the best way that you can protect yourself is if the both of you are protected. You know, have a plan A and a plan B.
I just want to read a statement that I actually put in social media, which, okay, which is the following. I find it amazing that there are over 30 types of birth control, but many chooses abortion. How about taking accountability for your actions? Let the circus begin.
Yeah. Well, I think
I
there's a
think
lot.
that.
Yeah, I'm
Oh,
sorry.
my
Go
bad,
ahead.
too.
No, go ahead. Go ahead. You're my guest.
I think it's a lack of. I don't know, because I'm millennial and Gen Z. I think as time goes on, this generation doesn't really want to be held accountable for anything. Men and women. Like I said, you just don't. Everybody's acting like, oh my God, I got pregnant. How did that happen? The men and the women. Like, women are adults, men are adults. In us, in this new generation, as the two generations coming in, need to understand that, because if we don't understand that, we're going to end up making mistakes over and over, unnecessary mistakes that are easy to avoid, because unfortunately we like to play stupid and act like there's no consequences to our act.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like I don't know, man. It's like I'm worried because I can just see like all the shitstorms that are gonna come out. There's gonna be people who are gonna give birth to babies and then kill them. There are gonna be babies that are thrown in the trash. There's gonna be a lot of shitty situations that
But
come.
you see how stupid that is, true teacher? Like
Well,
that scenario you put, like how stupid it would be to do that when when you have literally, like we said, like we've all been saying it, it's too many. It's not, we're not in Brazil. Like you said, Brazil doesn't have it. So that is understandable.
yeah,
But we're not in Brazil. And I think people forget, like we're in the United States of America. Like
yeah.
we're not
But
a third
we
world
still
country,
got
even though
we
sometimes
still
we
yeah, but
operate
we
like
still
that.
got people doing third world shit, even though we're in a first world country. So unfortunately, I don't see where the population is getting any smarter as the years are going by. So I don't know, man. I think that, like I said, we need a cultural reset when it comes to sexuality and the way we look at things and the way we go about things. I think that our society is just way too hypersexual. We're not taking into consideration the example that we're setting for the younger generation because they're looking at us and everything that we do, they want to do too because they want to be grown, you know? And we're
Mhm.
not being responsible by way of our children.
Yeah.
So this whole right to life thing, it's a lot deeper than just the issue of having access to abortion. There's the stuff that comes before that should come before you find yourself in a situation where you need to have an abortion. And there's the situation we got to think about once we have our children that we're raising and the kind of world and environment that we're creating for our children. And I don't think that people are sufficiently taking that into consideration. So it's a fucking circus. And
Common sense ain't that common. And that's the scary part.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So look, I'm gonna wrap it up because I gotta go and do other things. Hopefully, I'm not gonna be such a hermit. I'll be able to put out content on a regular basis. I know I've been threatening that for the
Where
longest.
you been?
Where have I been? Okay, so I have been really working to get my life back on track. After
Mm-hmm.
my mom's demise and
Oh, sorry about
all
that.
of that craziness. Yeah, it's like my life was derailed, and so I've had to really sit down and focus very strongly on getting my life back on track to finish certain processes that I had started.
Mm-hmm.
So unfortunately, that doesn't leave me with a lot of time to be involved in social media. But I'm trying to organize myself and have a balance. But
Yeah.
that's what I've been up to. I had to do a lot of work and get my head straight again.
Well, nice to see you back.
Very much.
Likewise. And whenever you can, please don't be a stranger and hop on my platform whenever you can.
I will. And, I always get your notifications, and it's like, damn, I wish I could, but it's like I gotta, I'm busy studying. Like, dude, like just taking care of my mom for those couple of years, it's like, you know, you're on, I think most people know I went back to school. I lost all of my clinical knowledge, you know? So
Mm-hmm.
I'm in a position where I'm actually reteaching myself again. I had to reteach myself the whole course. I graduated, I got my diploma, but my knowledge was gone. So I'm teaching myself all over again. So I've got to be like really focused. And this time it's not like when you're in school, you study so you can pass the test and then you're on to the next thing. Like my goal is not, this has to become part of my permanent knowledge base. So I'm going at it from a different angle. So yeah, I'm taking my course, my degree all over again, but I'm teaching it. I still got all my books, I got all my notes, and so that's what I've been doing, because when I go out there, I need to know what I'm going to be doing because I'm going to be working with patients. You know, I'm going to be dealing with people's lives, so I have to know my shit.
It's understandable, and the time will come when I will be retiring from the work world and do some of the things I want to do, which I haven't had opportunity. So I'm looking forward to the day when I can retire and pass the baton to responsible millennials like MK and Denise and whatnot.
Okay, so are you going to finally start up your OnlyFans? Oh, I know
No.
you've been practicing your pole dancing. I know. I can see can see those muscles.
Hey, true teacher. His name's gonna be Old Spice.
No, but seriously, two teachers, you need to check out my stream regarding the shout out to the fathers, particularly 70 minutes into the stream when I had one person that tried to disrupt it, calling me a racist, calling Denise a fake negrito from the Bronx.
Well, I've been dropping in on the live streams. Like when I'm out and about, like doing my errands and stuff.
Mhm.
So I know something funky went down between you, Denise, and one of our other friends. Like I don't know what's at the what happened.
I don't know if I'm at liberty at this point to discuss it, being that she's not here, and it's something that happened last year, and at this point, I sure she wants she's moved forward because she has other things to be concerned about.
Yeah.
Maybe one day, Denise will share that with you, like an Instagram or what have you. It's just that I don't want to discuss crazy moments from the past.
Okay. Well, I don't know. It's like I'm cool with all of you, so I just hope that maybe at some point you all can have a reconciliation and put that behind all of you. Well, I hope it's
Uh,
possible.
well, okay. Well, like I said before, I do know Denise fairly well, and suffice to say that we all have moved forward,
Hmm. Okay.
and I'm sure MK feels the same way as well.
All righty. Oh, YouTube. Social media really is a blessing and a curse, man. That's all I can say. you
Yeah,
know?
it is, particularly when you had one person that went on 3 hours swearing, talking about that I'm a racist and I believe in a one drop rule, and it's like, first of all, the people who know me. Look, I've been a serious YouTube creator for almost a year, and I've been like in a lot of platforms. So my reputation speaks for itself.
Yeah. Well, we know you, but I don't know. I guess sometimes miscommunications happen. People get triggered, whatever. Like I said, I don't know all the details of how things went south, and I understand that you don't want to go into it, but
It's
it's like
you know what you know what it is the at almost 60.
yeah,
Do I really want to like rehash the craziness of the past?
yeah. So I don't know. It just like hit me like blindside. It was like like three people that I'm cool with, or like there's a breakdown in communication happening, like, and like I don't know why, but like I said, I hope that at some point maybe there can be a reconciliation, and like, okay, it was a misunderstanding, blah blah blah, and you just can be
Yeah,
good with each other again.
I've kind of like dropped off. I think 2021 was my limit for all these streams because I started when you start getting messages behind the scene, you at some point I was like, you know what? I don't think it's worth it because I don't know these people. But that's exactly what I keep saying to people. YouTube is not real life. It is because you guys constantly overreach. When people overreach, it's merged to the point where, all right, I'm talking to you. I'm Melanated Knight, but let me go see who Melanated Knight is. Once when you start reaching, then you break the barrier between uh online and real life. So YouTube and people have done that so many times. I don't even consider YouTube and real life are merged together. And like I wanted to stop too, and Denise keeps going on hiatus too because it's the constant back and forth. Like I'm getting tired of drama stream.
Yeah.
Like nobody want to keep hearing. I'm tired of dating streams. I'm tired of drama streams. I'm tired of racial streams because people act stupid when we're talking about it. At some point, let's just have a stream where we just having fun and talking about
Well, absolutely.
subjects to have fun. Because these turn into like clown shows and people talking about wanting to grow channels. How can you grow it when you have fuckery all around their channel?
Well,
You,
that's why, like one of the reasons why I stepped back, because I mean, like, I had my moment where I lost my mind with a certain individual who will not be named.
Believe me, I understand. We understand.
Yeah, and
We
that
understand. We don't need to go there. It's understood.
and that was when I was like, okay, like, you got to be careful, because if you're not, you end up becoming the thing that you hate.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh shit, I became that guy. Like, okay, I need to just like pull back and just reevaluate. Yeah, 2021 was a hell of a year.
yeah,
We're coming
because if you
down.
think about it, true teacher,
Yeah,
we were talking to people about subjects that we ad nauseum talked about over and over and over again to the point where like I had to stop and be like, well, why am I still getting on this stream explaining shit for the hundredth time to a person that I've explained it to? They just don't want to listen. And then it takes me out of a fun mode because now I'm frustrated that I gotta explain shit that I've already explained in a five previous streams. And at some point you're like, let
yeah.
me just focus on content. Let
And
me just focus on something else.
I think that was what 2021 was, the realization that there's some people that are, deliberately just want to be stuck on stupid. Like, I always came from the perspective that, you know, having conversation is a good thing, because then you can resolve and you can come to a point of understanding. But realizing that there's certain people out there that they don't care about trying to, have understanding or anything like that, or mutual respect. They're just, they just want to spew their hatred and their irrationality. And, there's nothing you can do about that. You're coming at them from a particular perspective, out of a genuine place, but they're really emotionally invested in being, in a very dark, negative place. And it just is what it is. There's nothing you can do. So, and then, the thing is that your initial reaction once you realize that is anger, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Your
Yeah.
initial reaction is anger because why are you going out of your way to be such a horrible person? So you're angry about that. And then you start acting out of that anger. And then you fall into the trap of becoming just like that person, you know?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. 2021 was a crazy year, particularly at one point where there was one YouTube creator, which I'm not going to say, had an issue with MK, Denise, and a couple other people, and all of a sudden, my name gets drawn into the pot. It's like, what the heck I did? I mean,
I
it's
think
like I don't diss anybody on my own platform, and all of a sudden I'm into the I mean, I have a bullseye on me.
I think that's just because people don't like I said, at this point in time, like I don't have any really content besides like the few videos I put up. I'm at the point where I'm I'm but the guy behind the scenes, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I don't.
Well, I still want to be in a place of clearing up misunderstandings, but I'm going to go about it in a different way. It's like I'm not going to waste my time anymore trying to talk common sense to people who are emotionally invested in being emotional and hateful and stuff. I'm just not going to go that way. But for the people who really do want information and they want to learn, I have the information out there for them. But I got to organize myself more so that I can have time because, I mean, the thing that a lot of people don't realize is that creating content is a lot of work. There's a lot of work that goes into it, filming, editing, all of that. It's not as easy as 1 to 3. I mean, like I'm doing the live stream right now because that's the quickest and easiest. But if I had really wanted to put my ideas out there in a very organized way and make a video, that would have been like hours of work. And unfortunately, right now, I don't have the luxury. Or maybe, I just need to go about it in a different way. I tend to be the kind of guy that I become hyper focused on whatever it is that I'm doing. So maybe I need to approach it from the perspective is that I work on it a little bit at a time, over a period of time, and then I put the video out, instead of trying to get everything done in one day.
Mhm.
So that's an idea. But anyway, guys, thank you so much for stopping by and sharing your time with me. And um, last thoughts before we leave. We'll start with Jose. And let's see, you're going to have to come up with your time. Good afternoon.
Okay, well, good afternoon, everybody. No, true teacher. First of all, thank you for allowing me on your platforms. I'm glad to see you back on these YouTube streets. You've been deeply missed. Now, when it comes to Roe v. Wade, that's something that's always going to bring forth argument. But the thing is, if we're going to have a discussion, let's do it intelligently and let's try to keep emotion to a minimum. Uh, the fact of the matter is, even with this decision, abortions will never end completely. There will be some abortions will continue under different circumstances. People need to take accountability for their actions, and the fact of the matter is, again, at the risk of sounding like a broken record, there are over 30 different types of birth control for both male and female to prevent not only unwanted pregnancy but sexually transmitted diseases. So let's try to apply some accountability for individual actions, and let's try to use logic. That being said, it's always a pleasure to see you. MK, I'm glad to see you. Please share my love with your better half.
Hey,
We
thank
will.
you. And I'll be seeing you in the future, God willing. MK,
Mm-hmm.
last thoughts.
My last thoughts is, pretty much the same. A lot of this stuff doesn't make sense. Uh, I'm kind of getting frustrated with the way the world works. Like, simple things are being more complicated every day. So, as we move forward, I really don't know. I'm hoping, no problem. I'm hoping that we can, I'm hoping that we can, I don't know, we can get some sense because like a lot of this is it's no logic to this. Is a lot of it is emotional, and I get it. You know, women want the freedom to do it, but like I said, before you even get to that option, you got like 30 other options.
Yeah,
So what is this really about? If you put that in the mix, what is this really about? So I
well,
would say I'm praying for things to change, but the way it's going and the way Gen Z has just completely turned things around, I don't think it's gonna happen. I think it'll reset in like 2, 3 more generations, or Gen Alpha might be the one to change back. We'll see.
yeah. Well, with that, I am going to say goodbye and thank you all for stopping by. Don't forget to hit the likes, and God willing, you'll be seeing me again really soon. But everybody, hey Lily, yeah, this is a short one, man. It's like I got to get back to studying. I'm just taking a break. Oh, it's fine. Yeah. I know. Stop giving me a hard time. So Lily, oh boy, that's Lily. She's always a pain in my ass. One of these days, I'll get her on the stream. She can share some of her ideas with us.
Shoot, man. Anytime. But
Yeah, so I'm gonna wrap it up, everybody. And MK, thank you for stopping by,
no problem, true.
and give my love to your lovely wife,
Will do.
the Koki killer.
I'm pretty sure she'll be happy to hear from you guys.
Okay, I understand. She's on the run. Like that's why she's not in Puerto Rico right now.
Yeah, she's out here doing her thing. But
But
I'll let her know.
when she gets caught, I'll come visit her. I'll bring her cake with a file in it.
Definitely.
All righty, man. So everybody, thank you for stopping by, and I will see you all real soon. So love, light, perfect peace, prosperity, and health to everybody. Bye bye.
Peace.